Hello students, welcome back to online classes. In last video we discussed about the extraction of iron from its ore and also the extraction of zinc from its ore. In today's video we discuss the extraction of copper from its copper ore. So here we are going to extract copper from its one of the important ore, and further that ore should be converted in the form of cuprous oxide. So that is why the name of this extraction should be the extraction of copper from cuprous oxide. In this cuprous oxide, the oxidation state of copper should be +1. The copper is present in +1 oxidation state in the cuprous oxide. Here firstly we have to take the copper ore, so that is nothing but Cu2S. So this is the ore. The name of this ore should be the copper glans. You have to remember the name of ore with their chemical formula. Like Fe2O3 is the ore of hematite, ore of the iron, so that is nothing but hematite. So here Cu2S is the copper glans. So this copper glans or also ore of this copper is very easy to reduce, because in the Ellingham diagram if you see the formation of copper oxide, it is almost present at the top of the graph, means at a -300 of delta G value it required to oxidize. So simply copper should undergo oxidation and it should form the formation of a copper here. So that is why it is very easy to reduce. Since by heating copper in presence of a coke, we are able to convert the copper oxide. So before going to that, so this is the sulfur ore. So copper containing sulfur here, so that is why it is said to be the sulfide ore. So during any extraction, firstly we have to do the concentration of ore. So we can doing the concentration of ore to remove the some of the impurities present in it. So next we have to go for calcination or else a roasting process. Here this ore contains sulfide, so that is why instead of calcination we are going to do this roasting. So copper sulfide ore is to be roasted. Okay, the roasting is nothing but the heating of that metal ore in presence of a continuous supply of air before its melting. So we have to do roasting to reduce the metal ore, means you have to convert, not reduce, reduction, we are going to convert those ores into their oxides, means here we are going to convert copper sulfide into copper oxide, because in the continuous supply of air, so this metallic elements which are present in the ore, they should accept they should interact with the oxygen, so then they will be converted into their oxides. So that is why roasting is done for the conversion of metallic oxides, okay, or to convert metal into oxide. So here copper sulfide is there, so that is why the 2Cu2S is undergo oxidation with air. So this oxygen will comes from continuous supply of air. In the furnace we are going to blow the blast of air with continuous supply. So that is why that can be reacted with the ore, then they will produce the copper oxide with the liberation of a sulfur dioxide here. So this is the reaction. So copper sulfide is reacts with the oxygen, it should form the copper oxide with the liberation of SO2 gas. Okay, so we have to balance the equation. Here coppers are there to SO2. So in this way we are going to get the oxide of copper. Further, this copper oxide can be reduced by using the carbon or else a coke. In this way we are going to get the formation, or we are going to reducing the copper oxide. So that is why the name of this is the extraction of copper from cuprous oxide. So this is called as the cuprous oxide. Here this cuprous, from this cuprous oxide we are going to get the metallic copper. So that is why the extraction should be done by this method. So by taking this cuprous oxide, by treating with this carbon, we are going to get the copper with the liberation of carbon monoxide as a gas. How many carbons are there? So that is why 4 copper with the formation of carbon monoxide. So we require 2 carbon monoxide, means I am going to balancing the reaction only. So simply you can recalling that copper sulfide must be undergo oxidation. It will be converted into cuprous oxide. So this cuprous oxide can be reduced by heating it with the carbon or else coke. So then we are going to get the metallic copper. It is a normal process, but actually we are going to do overall this process in a furnace. So that is called as the reverberatory furnace. So we are going to extract the copper in this furnace. So that is called as the reverberatory furnace. So in case of iron, we are going to use the blast off furnace, but here we are going to use the reverberatory furnace. It is somewhat like a steel vessel. Okay, so in case of iron, we are using the blast furnace. You have to remember the furnace name also. Okay, sometimes it is also asked. So that's why in the actual process, the ore is heated in the reverberatory furnace after mixing with the silica. So here we have to do the actual process in the furnace, but in the last video only I told that like in calcination and roasting process, I am going to tell what will be actually happened in this ore. So in Cu2S, so in the copper glands, the main impurity is the ferrous oxide. Okay, so this is the main impurity. It is already we discussed in last video. So in brief I am going to tell again. So this ferrous oxide is having high melting point, so that is why it is very difficult to remove this impurity from this ore. As a result of that, in the reverberatory furnace we have to mix this ores with the silica. In the reverberatory furnace, we have to add silica to that the copper sulfide ore. So this is the ore. We have to add silica and we have to supply continuous air, means we have to go for heating here. So this silica is reacted with the FeO which is present in the ore. As a result of that, the FeO should be converted into ferrous silicate. Okay, so this is removed as a slag. So initially FeO is your gang, means impurity. So to this we are going to adding the flux substance, so that is the silica. So it should combine with the gang and it will form slag, and it should has low melting point compared to this gang. So this will be having high melting point, but this slag is having low melting point. As a result of this, it can be removed easily. So in the form of ferrous silicate, the impurity should be removed in the copper sulfide. So in this way we are going to remove the FeO oxide, means ferrous oxide in the form of a slag. So the copper which is produced from this reverberatory furnace, it is called as the copper matte. It is called as the copper matte or else a copper matte, whatever, how can you pronounce, your choice. So this copper matte will contains the mixture of Cu2S with the iron sulfide, so that is FeS. So the copper which is produced from the reverberatory furnace, it should has the copper sulfide and iron sulfide. So still it is not in a pure form. So that is it, the pure metallic form of copper. Again we have to charge this copper matte to the silica lined converter. So we have to charge this copper matte in the silica lined converter. So this is the vessel. To this we will tell the coat is done by the silica, means it should be lined with the silica moiety. Okay, so this is the silica lining. So this is charged in the container which is lined with the silica. So this is the converter. Okay, so this is your silica line. So in this converter we have to add the copper matte. Okay, firstly we have to add the copper matte, then we have to add the blast of air, means the blast of air is blown into this converter and silica is there. So firstly, whenever the blast of air blown, the temperature should be increases, means heat in the converter is start to be rises. So as a result, firstly the ferrous sulfide which is present in the copper matte, so copper matte is also there in the converter, and to this converter we are going to blowing the blast of air, and also some amount of silica is added in externally, and means some amount of silica can also be added, and silica lining is also there. So that is why the FES is reacts with the oxygen which is produced due to the blowing of blast of air in the converter. So at this time the FeSC reacts with the oxygen and it should be converted into the iron oxide. So that is nothing but the 2FeO with the liberation of sulfur dioxide. So here we are going to convert sulfide into the ferrous oxide. Now it will be easy because ferrous oxide can reacted with this silica, so then it can be converted into slag. So we can able to remove that slag very easily. So that is why further this 2FeO which is produced in the first reaction, it should be reacted with the silica which is present in the converter, and also line is also made with the silica. So that is why this oxide is reacts with the silica line, and then it will be the formation of the ferrous silicate. So this silicate will be removed as a slag now. So in this way we are going to removing all the impurity which is present in the ore, but still the copper is present in the form of copper sulfide. So once again I will tell you, only in the first step the ferrous sulfide which is present in the copper matte, it should be reacted with oxygen, or it should undergo oxidation and it will be converted into ferrous oxide. So this ferrous oxide will react with the silica, then it should form ferrous silicate. It should be removed as a slag because it is a impurity. So that is why slag should be going out like this. So we are going to collect this slag in the further container. So still the copper sulfide is present here. So that copper sulfide is also undergo oxidation and it will be getting the copper oxide here, that is 2Cu2O with the liberation of sulfur dioxide. So the copper sulfide is undergoing oxidation here. So then we will going to get the formation of copper oxide or else a cuprous oxide. So this cuprous oxide is further reacted with the remaining copper sulfide in the copper matte. So see here. So I am telling this cuprous oxide is going to react with the remaining copper sulfide which is present in the copper matte. So see, if I am taking 100 kg of copper sulfide here, in the copper matte if there is a presence of 100 kg of copper sulfide, only 50% of copper sulfide should undergo oxidized into copper oxide. So remaining 50% is still remained as a Cu2S form only. So is it understanding? So Cu2S, if it is 100 kg, only 50% means 50 kg will be converted into the Cu2O form. Still we have 50 kg of Cu2S. So this 50 kg is also able to convert into oxide form, means in the cuprous oxide form. So that is why the remaining Cu2S which is present in the copper matte, it should undergo reduction with the help of the Cu2O which is produced in the previous step. So lean produced the copper oxide, so it should undergoing the reacting with the remaining copper sulfide in the converter. So as a result, now we are going to get the metallic copper. So see here, so this sulfide is undergoing reduction from the copper oxide. As a result, we are going to get the formation of a metallic copper with the evolution of sulfur dioxide. So here the elimination of sulfur dioxide will be undergoes by the liberation of the copper elements. So in this way we are going to get the pure form of a metallic copper. It should be collected in the another opening in the another container. So metallic copper. Okay. In this way we are going to extracting the metallic copper, but this metallic copper is called as a blister copper. So this is called as the blister copper because in this reaction, so see here, Cu2S is undergoing the reduction with Cu2O, with that the formation of metallic copper along with the evolution of sulfur. So in this way we are going to get the metallic copper due to the self reduction of this copper element. Self reduction is carried out in this step. Okay, Cu2S, the remaining copper sulfide is reacted with the cuprous oxide, then it will form the metallic copper with the evolution of a sulfur dioxide. Here it should be collected in the another opening of a converter, so that is nothing but metallic copper. So now it is free from all the impurities, but it is appeared as a blister. So that is why the copper which is obtained from this process is considered to be the blister of copper. So we are calling it as the blister of copper, blister copper. So blister copper is nothing but the evolution of sulfur dioxide which is occurred in this reaction. It is going to surround the copper metal. So if it is a copper, it can be surrounded by this sulfur dioxide bubbles. So as a result it is look like a blister, since it is called as the blister copper. So blister means, so whenever skin rashes are occurred, so due to the achievement of any hot oil, so then it should get bubble on the surface of a skin. So that is called as the blister. Means ಕಾದ ಎಣ್ಣೆಯೊಳಗೆ ನಾವು ನೀರು ಏನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಿಡಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಗೆ ಏನು ಬಬಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಅ ಬ್ಲಿಸ್ಟರ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ವೇ ಕಾಪರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅಪಿಯರ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ದಿ ಎವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ sulfur dioxide. So in this bubble the accumulation of sulfur dioxide gases will be taken place. So that is why it is called as the blister copper. So in this way we are going to extract the copper from cuprous oxide. So it is very easy. So firstly you have to do the copper sulfide ore. It must be roasted due to the presence of sulfur. In this way we are going to removing the sulfur which is present in the ore. Then it will be converted into the cuprous oxide. Then it can be reduced by using the hot coke or else a hot carbon. Then we are going to get the copper elements. In the actual process, if we go through the furnace process, we are going to using the reverberatory furnace for the production of metallic copper. So in that reverberatory furnace we have to blow the hot air. Then we are going to remove the impurities which are present in the Cu2S. So that is nothing but the FeO. So it can be removed by adding silica to the furnace. Then it can be removed as a formation of ferrous silicate in the form of a slag. Further we are going to get the copper matte. So this copper matte is the mixture of Cu2S with FeS. So it can be added into the silica line converter, and we have to blow the blast of air, and little amount of silica is again added. Again in this line coating also silica present. So it can be this firstly the FeS is going to oxidize and it form the ferrous oxide. So this ferrous oxide is in turn react with the silica. So it will form the ferrous silicate. It can be removed as a slag. So then the copper sulfide which is present in the copper matte is also undergoing oxidation here. It will produce cuprous oxide. So this cuprous oxide is reacted with the remaining copper sulfide which is present in the copper matte. It should undergoing self reduction. As a result of self reduction, we are going to get the metallic copper here. So this metallic copper is called as the blister copper, because sulfur dioxide which is evolved in the reaction, it should be accumulated in the form of a bubble over the surface of a copper. So that is why it is called as the blister copper. So in this way we are going to extracting copper from cuprous oxide. The oxidation state of copper should be +1. Okay, so this is about extractions of a metal ore. First one is the extraction of iron from its ore. Secondly, we are going to extracting zinc from its ore, and third one is extraction of copper from the cuprous oxide. So all three are important. So any one of the question will be asked. So that is why you have to practice with reactions. So reactions are very easy. 1 or 2 times if you wrote, they will come. Okay, you have to practice all the reactions. So and you have to remember the steps which are occurred in the extraction process. So if sulfide ore is present, we have to go for roasting. So if sulfide ore is not there, then we have to do the calcination. So this is about the applications of a Ellingham diagram. Okay, so next we will move towards the another concept. So that is the principles of electrochemical processes. Okay, the electrochemical principles of metallurgy, because here we are going to study extraction. So that is nothing but the metallurgy. So how electrochemical principles are going to be applied for the metallurgy. So this is the concept. The electrochemical principles of metallurgy. And it is also called as the pyrometallurgy. The term will be pyrometallurgy, because here we are going to extracting the elements with the help of heat. So by heating we are going to reduce the metals here. So that is why the name of this technique is pyrometallurgy. So pyro is nothing but heat. So here we are going to extract the metal from the ore by using suitable reagents, reducing agent with the supply of heat. So that is why it is called as the pyrometallurgy. And for this extraction we are going to apply some of the electrochemical principles here. So firstly, if you are taking any reduction of molten metal salt, electrolysis is done. Okay, if you are going to take the any molten metal salt, we are doing the electrolysis here. So that's why such methods are based on the electrochemical principles, which firstly we can going for the one of the important electrochemical reaction. So that is nothing but delta G naught is equal to minus NFE naught. So this is the basic equation, or one of the most important reaction for understanding the electrolysis as well as the electrochemical reaction which is occurred in the metallurgy. So we are going to apply this reaction to the metallurgical process in the molten metal state. So here delta G naught is the Gibbs free energy, standard Gibbs free energy, Gibbs free energy, and N is the number of electrons which are involved in the reaction, gaining or else acception, involving in the reaction, means number of gained electrons as well as the number of donating electrons must be equal in the electrochemical reaction. So that is the number of N. So F is the Faraday's constant and E is the standard reduction potential. Standard reduction potential, E naught, standard reduction potential. By having this equation, we are going to studying the pyrometallurgy. So here, so one of the important application will comes for the extraction of aluminium from its ore. So by applying this principle, we are going to extracting the aluminium here. So before going to that, we have to study how the standard reduction potential is altered by the sum of the metals. If the metal is more reactive, okay, if the metal is more reactive, it should has larger negative value of the electrode potential. So that is why the reduction of that metal will becomes difficult. Okay, if metal is having if metal is more reactive, if metal is more reactive, it has more electrode potential, negative electrode potential. So that is why it should be difficult to reduce that metal. So vice versa, if metal is less reactive, it is having the negative value, then it will be easy. So that's why you have to remember either of the sentence. So you can remember like this only, if metal is more reactive, it should has more negative electrode potential. Negative electrode potential means it is very difficult to reduce it very easy manner. So it's not difficult. So if the electrode potential difference means, we are going to take, and here I am telling this is the standard reduction potential, means if you are taking the difference between both the cell, right hand cell as well as the left hand cell. I think it will be present in the electrochemistry of the chapter, so already it will be completed. So that is why E naught is the difference in between right hand cell as well as the left hand cell. If you are taking sum of that, if E naught value is equal to positive, if you are getting the value of standard potential, if it is positive, then the value of delta G naught will become negative. Okay, if we are taking the difference in between the electrode potential of the reaction, so if it is positive, then we are going to get the negative value of delta G. If delta G value is negative, then the reaction will be feasible one. That is nothing but the reaction can be occurred easily. So it is feasible because delta G, if it is negative, it will be showing spontaneous reaction. So spontaneous means it is feasible one. So that is why we have to look, means you can remember only these two things. If the electrode potential, standard electrode potential, when it will become positive, then the delta G naught value will become the negative. If delta G naught value is attains negative value, then the reaction will be feasible one. So in this way, the lesser reactive metal will come out from the molten solution, or else it will be come out from the solution, and the higher reactive metal will go to the reaction media. So in this way, this principle will be applied for the metallurgical process also. So that is why it can be studied by the help of electrochemical principles. So by using this equation, means here we are going to express delta G naught of the metallic extraction in terms of standard reduction potential. If we are getting positive values of standard reduction potential, it will become negative. It will become negative means it will attain spontaneity. So as a result of that, the reaction will becomes the. So in this way, the electrochemical principles are going to be applied in the metallurgical phenomena. So that's why the application of this is nothing but one of the important application it is. So that is the extraction of aluminium from its ore. So that is coming under this topic. So that is the apply of electrochemical principles. If you are going to applying electrochemical principles, is nothing but the electrochemical reactions must be going to be occurred, means electrolysis will be occurred in the reaction. So that is the extraction of aluminium. Okay, aluminium from ore. From its ore means bauxite. So that is nothing but Al2O3. So this is the ore which is feasible for the extraction of aluminium here. So here we are going to do the metallurgy of aluminium. So this Al2O3 is going to be mixed with this alumina with sodium aluminium fluoride with, or else you have to choose the calcium fluoride. So Na3Al-F6, it is nothing but the cryolite. It is also called as the cryolite. So either we can add this cryolite or also CaF2, calcium fluoride. So we are adding these two or this bauxite ore. So Al2O3, either we can mix up with Na3Al-F6. If it is not available, then we are using Al2O3 is mixed up with the calcium fluoride. So the main use of these two is firstly to reduce the melting point of the bauxite ore, means Al2O3 is having the higher melting point. So that is why it is very difficult to maintain higher temperature. So since to reduce the melting point of that ore, we are going to using the some of the elements here. So that is nothing but Na3Al-F6 or also CaF2. The first use of these two is to reduce melting point of a mixture, that is nothing but Al2O3. So second phenomena or second property of these two they will increases the conductivity of the mixture. Because these are ionic substances, both Na3Al-F6 as well as the calcium fluoride. So these are ionic mixture. So they will undergo ions whenever they are dissolved in the solution, because we are studying the electrolysis reaction. So that is why they will produce 3Na plus, Al plus 3 and 6F minus. If we are using calcium fluoride, then it will produce Ca plus 2 and 2F minus. So these ionic ions will able to move from one position to another position. In this way they will conduct the electricity. So that's why they will raises the conductivity of the mixture. So that's why these are the two benefits we are going to use them, or we are going to adding this to the Al2O3. So the main important reason is to reduce the melting point of the Al2O3, and second one is they will increases the conductivity of the mixture here. So and overall reaction, it should be taken place in the steel container. It should be coated with the carbon. So however, it is also the electrochemilysis reaction here, and this process is said to be the Hall-Héroult process. So this is called as the Hall-Héroult process, and in this process the aluminium oxide or also bauxite ore is treated with the carbon. So then it will produces the metallic aluminium here. So Al2O3 is get reduced into alumina plus with the liberation of carbon dioxide. So this is called as the Hall-Héroult process. Okay, the name of this process is said to be the Hall-Héroult process. So for this process we are going to use the steel vessel container which is lining with the carbon. We are going to using the steel vessel container. It must be coated with carbon. So see here, we are taking carbon coated steel vessel container. So this is the carbon, and moreover here carbon is acting as a cathode. Okay, carbon is acting as a cathode because it is a electrolysis cell and electrolysis reaction. So that is why we are required, one is anode and another one is the cathode. So here carbon is acting as a cathode. You can remember like C and C. Carbon, C stands for carbon and another C stands for cathode. Carbon lining. So it is acting as a cathode. So in this steel vessel container, again we have to add the graphite. I will rub this reaction. I want space now. So it should be, we have to put the graphite rods. So this graphite rods will be acting as the anode. Okay, these graphite rods will be acting as the anode and carbons will acting as the cathode. So at the cathode, which reaction will be carried out? So at the cathode, we are going to do reduction. At the anode, there is a occurrence of the oxidation phenomena. So this is the graphite rods. They will be acting as the anodes. Graphite rods, they will be acting as the anodes. So in this steel vessel container, we have to now ready to add the molten Al2O3 by mixing with any of the metal. Sorry, Al2O3, it should be molten one. Then we have to mix it with trisodium aluminium fluoride, hexafluoride. So firstly, whenever we are adding this mixture to this steel vessel container, the electrolysis process will be carried out. Means as a result of this electrolytic reaction, the Al2O3 which is present in the molten state, it start to deposit over the carbon lining cathode. So as a result of that, the cathodic reaction will be start. So initially at the cathode, if I taking the cathodic reaction, so in the cathode the reduction will be taken place. In the cathode, reduction of electrolysis process will be taken place. So the aluminium which is present in the molten state, so whenever it is doing electrolysis, they are going to be ionized. As a result of ionization, we are going to get positive ions as well as the negative ions. So now positive ions in this mixture means in the alumina mixture, we are getting aluminium plus 3. So it is in the So at the cathode, aluminium ions from the melt, they should gain the 3 electrons and they will form the metallic alumina. Okay. So in this way, we are going to get the pure alumina which is going to be collected at the one of the outlet. Here we are going to get the alumina. So it should be pure. So we are going to get the metallic alumina in liquid state only. Okay. So further we have to move for anodic reaction. So in this anode, oxidation will be taken place. So here the carbon which is present in the line coating, it should react with the oxygen. So then it will forms carbon monoxide. So this oxygen should be coming from melt. So sometimes if we are using 2 moles of oxygen, then we will get the formation of a carbon dioxide with the liberation of 4 electrons. Okay, 4 electrons should be formed. So these both the oxygens will comes from melt only. If 1 mole of oxygen is present, then we will get the formation of carbon monoxide. If 2 moles of oxygen will react with the carbon, then they will form carbon dioxide. So if carbon monoxide is formed, or else carbon dioxide will be formed. Both are gases only. It is depending upon the quantity of oxygen. So instead of that, before going to this reaction, so this oxygen will undergoing the oxidation process. So oxygen will undergoing the oxidation with the loss of electrons. Those electrons will be accepted by the aluminium. Then they will form the metallic aluminium. After that one, so we will get the melt oxygen. It will be reacted with carbon. It will form either carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Both are gases. In this way, the evolution of carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide will be taken place. So as a result of that, so however they are reacting, the liberated oxygen, if they are reacted with this copper, the rods will be going to be losses. So however the reaction will be carried out. If 1 hour is carried, then small amount of rods are recovered. So then if process is continuous, again this should be destroyed. Means continuously there is a liberation of carbon oxide, means carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide will be taken place. As a result, the quantity of rod is also going to be decreases. So in this way, finally all the rod is finished. So again we have to put new rods to continue the reaction. So this is the one of the method to extract the aluminium from the alumina. Okay, that is nothing but bauxite ore. So in this way we are going to do the whole process in the steel vessel container by coating with carbon cathode, and we have to put the graphite rods, and whenever we are adding molten alumina with the trisodium aluminum hexafluoride, they should undergo both reduction and oxidation process at respectively cathode and anode. We are going to collect the metallic alumina in the one of the outlet, then the liberated carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide are going to be eliminated. So that is nothing but the oxygen which is liberated at the anode, it start to react with the carbon of anode, producing the carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So in this way, whenever aluminum is produced, the carbon anode is burnt away. So this carbon anode is nothing but the graphite rod. So in this way they are going to burnt. So step by step whenever reaction is occurred, so as a result we require new rods to continue the procedure. So this is about the extraction of alumina. Here also all the things are important. So these mixtures, trisodium aluminum hexafluoride or the calcium fluoride, so how they are helpful to this process means they will lowers the melting point of bauxite and they will increases the conductivity of a electrolytic cell. And another important thing is here the reactions at which electrode the aluminium is produced. So that is nothing but at cathode the aluminium will be produced. Okay. So in this way we are going to applying the electrochemical principles for the pyrometallurgical processes or else. So next application is extraction of copper from low grade ores and scraps or else scraps. We are going to extracting the copper from low grade ores and scraps here. So here, so in today's video only in the first session, means in the first 10 minutes I am explaining the extraction of copper from cuprous oxide. So that is we are going to extracting copper from copper glands. So here we are going to extracting copper from low grade ores and scraps. You have to remember the word. So if they are asking about in the examination, if they are asking extraction of copper from low grade or else scraps, you have to write whatever I explained now. So if they are asking the extraction of copper from the copper glands or else a copper ore or else a cuprous oxide, you have to write from copper matte, means by the use of reverberatory furnace we are going to extract in the copper here. But in this technique we are going to use the copper ores or else any low graded ores and scraps for the extraction of copper here, means low grade ores or else scraps means wasted material ores. So by that we are going to extracting the copper. So that is why the name of this extraction of copper from the low grade ores and scraps. So those are very low expensive, then it is very easy to carry out also. So it can be done by the help of hydrometallurgical process. Okay, it should go through hydrometallurgy and we are going to do the leaching of copper ions. So here the leaching of copper will be taken place in this method. So leaching is nothing but we have to soluble this metal extract, we have to soluble this ore in the suitable solvent. So that technique is said to be the leaching. Here the leaching is done either by using the acid or else bacteria. So we can use the leaching of copper is done by using the acid or else bacteria. Here always we are using acid as the sulfuric acid. So that is nothing but H2SO4. So it is extracted by the hydrometallurgy from low grade ore and it is leaching by the help of acid or else bacteria. So see here what happens. The copper will react with the hydrogen, so then it will produce the solid copper. So the copper from the aqueous, it should reacting with the hydrogen gas, then it will produce the solid copper with the liberation of 2 hydrogen ions. They will go into the solution. So in this way we are going to extracting the copper metal here. So here we have to use acid or bacteria for the leaching process. So during leaching we are going to use either acid or else bacteria. So further this solution is undergoing the process, then we are going to get the formation of a copper metallic here. So that is why in this way, in a simple process, we are going to extracting the copper from the low grade ores or else by using scraps. So this phenomenon is also one of the application of the electrochemical principles which are applied for the metallurgy. So this is about the electrochemical principles over metallurgy or else in a pyrometallurgy. So you can remember both the words, copper extraction from scraps or if they are asking about copper extraction from the copper oxide. So you have to remember and you have to practice it. Okay, in next class we will discuss about the further details. Okay, thank you all.